Hey everybody. I wanted to pop on here to respond to this thing Damien Leone posted. Damien Leone, creator of the Terrifier franchise. And I'm just going to read it real quick. So he said, I want to make a very important statement regarding the Terrifier franchise in this ugly political climate we're living in. As most of you know, some of my cast and crew members have a very passionate political presence on social media with extreme and sometimes harsh opinions, which is their right. And I believe he's referring to the actor who plays Art the Clown, who, has been reacting to the first few weeks of the Trump administration as many people have, with shock and horror. And I actually haven't read much of it, but anyway, I'm all for freedom of speech and expression. That being said, Terrifier is not in any shape or form a political franchise. I did not get into filmmaking to become a politician or promote any political agendas or ideologies, especially through a killer clown movie. I fell in love with horror movies as a form of pure entertainment, and those are the films I like to make. Since Terrifier 1, our cast and crew has and still consists of both Republicans and Democrats, and anyone is welcome to be a part of it, regardless of their political affiliations, as long as they're a decent human being. That goes for our fan base as well. If this doesn't sit well with any fans or cast/crew members, that is your right, and I respect it. You don't have to buy a ticket and don't have to work on these films. Thank you, and I will recommend you don't let toxic rhetoric on either side of the political spectrum deter you from being a Terrifier fan. So, I think this is obviously really mostly just like the statement of the owner of an intellectual property who doesn't want half of his fan base not buying tickets to the next Terrifier movie or whatever. Like, it seems very money motivated to me. But I I just wanted to respond to it because I think it's like a very funny and ironic thing to say from the director of the Terrifier movies, because really, like, I think there is no horror franchise that embodies our current political moment quite like Terrifier. Art the Clown is like the perfect metaphor for Trumpism, and or at least like how MAGA mania makes everyone else feel. Art the Clown, he doesn't like he's not just like somewhere out in the boonies in the middle of nowhere. He like infiltrates the society. He always like goes into these public places and just wrecks shit where, like, everyone's trying to just sort of live their lives and be left alone, and he often, like, in this very public way, will just wrecks shit. And he does so not because, like, he has some kind of repressed trauma or anything. He's just a bastard who likes creating chaos and wants to burn it all down, apparently. And, like, he especially likes to target women and people who are especially vulnerable. And the whole thing's just a game to him. It's just funny. And I think, like, that's like a big thing with Trump, right? Like, he's just like a funny guy, and people think it's funny to see him make everyone else mad and upset. And of course, every time you think he's dead, time you think he's defeated, he just comes right back stronger than ever, and it just feels like there's nothing anyone can do about it. We just, like, forever have to deal with Art the Clown rampaging around all of our safe spaces, and all you can really do is just hope he doesn't find you. That being said, I did want to at least extend, like, an olive branch here and say I have some sympathy for, like, artists' frustrations with some folks' need to, like, boil their entire work down to some kind of ideological statement. Like, as much as I think that analysis of Art the Clown as Trumpism is, like, very interesting and apt, to reduce that whole franchise to only that is pretty stupid. You know, like a review of Terrifier would not be complete without talking about the disgust that it provokes simply on a just gut level, I think. I don't necessarily think its political relevance makes the movie good or bad. For what it's worth, I thought the first one was really interesting, maybe even very good. I don't know. And the second one just made me really tired. And this third one I haven't got to yet. You know, like there are other ways to look at art, and there are other ways we should look at art. Like an example I was going to try to use is like I started this with a cat here, and there really was no political motivation there. I just like I thought it would be kind of funny and cute to have my cat, and then when my cat got up and left the frame, I thought, hey, let's keep that. That's funny. And now here comes my cat. This is not a political statement, except, you know, I like cats. I mean, I guess you know what, in the comments, someone write your essay, but you know, at the end of the day, like, cats are cool, and that's nice. And yeah, like it can be limiting, like as a person who writes and makes art myself, it can be a little frustrating sometimes, feeling like people only want to talk about your stuff in the sense of like what box they can put it in. One of my favorite filmmakers of all time is John Cassavetes, and his stuff is really just about taking people who have all these conflicting emotions, bursting out of them, and those emotions just sort of are blasting at each other, and things usually end not really tragically, because tragic implies that things should be a certain way, and not even happily, because that also implies things should be a certain way. There's a certain inevitability to the way things end, of like, well, this is just sort of how the chips landed. And I almost, for most of his movies, I think like it's just so beautiful every time. So I disagree with like all art has to be political all the time, but yeah, it's kind of funny that Damien Leone of all people would feel the need to even say this at all, just because like one of his actors is on social media. Who cares?